news. We'll talk about it with the CEO of Roy Wheeler and what to expect with this merger. Michael Guthrie is also an evangelist and a fantastic steward of Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We'll catch up with Michael on everything that's Seaville and Central Virginia related. And I believe Michael Guthrie got either his first or second vaccination shot. So we'll ask Michael about that experience. I'm of the camp. The first vaccination available, put it in my arm. I don't care if it's a Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, I don't care. First one available, get it in my arm. Michael Guthrie, I believe, has got the first shot. We'll talk about that with him. Give the show a like and a share if you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, anywhere. I mean, we're on every social media platform possible, guys, with this program. Judah, we can rock and roll. Judah Wickhauer's our director. Let's rock and roll when you're ready. Good Friday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love Seaville show. It's good to be with you on a glorious day to be above the mud. Any day we're above the mud is glorious. Keep that perspective in mind, guys. And did you see the weather for next week? We have 70 degrees in the forecast for multiple days next week in Central Virginia. Spring has sprung, and the consumer confidence has sprung with the weather. Welcome to the show, and thank you kindly for joining us. We're presented and powered by Ting Fiber Internet. The best internet in Central Virginia is Ting, and it's not even close. We have a $288 savings for Ting Fiber Internet only through this link, iloveseaville.ting.com. iloveseaville.ting.com. Hundreds of people have enjoyed a $288 savings through that link. It's time for you to do the same. We use it for this network. Michael Guthrie in T-minus 15, 20 seconds. We'll talk about the Roy Wheeler, Howard Hanna merger. The goals for the new company, why Roy Wheeler, a legacy brand, merged with Howard Hanna, and what we can expect from the merger moving forward. Brian Pinkston, Charlottesville City Council, will join us on Monday, and we have some restaurant news to get to, and I want to highlight a business from yesterday's show that needs even more attention. If you're not familiar with Be Conscious Baking Company, you need to get in your vehicle, public transit, on your bicycle, maybe you're walking, and go to Dairy Market, because Alexis and her husband Patrick are making goodies that are absolutely out of this world. Before we get to those stories, let's welcome Michael Guthrie to the program. Jude, I'm reaching out to him now. So much I want to cover with Michael. First, I'm going to start with the vaccine. I believe he got the first shot. We'll ask that about Michael Guthrie here on the program. We'll open it up to your questions, your comments, your concerns, anything you want to talk about here on the show with Michael Guthrie, an evangelist for the community. Michael, you are live. Thank you, my friend, for joining us on this program. We're very excited to chat with you. Before we talk shop, did you get the vaccine? Did you get the first shot, Michael?
So interesting that you'd say that. By the way, nice haircut.
Thank you. You too, right?
Yeah, looking sharp, man. Looking sharp.
You got a haircut as well.
I got a haircut on Tuesday.
Nice.
Yeah. So and thank you for asking. I am grateful to say that I'm getting my first shot this afternoon.
Oh, it's today.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we're hoping that they might be nice enough to let Dottie get one too, since she's the one who's been so good about taking care of me over these last couple of years. So we're gonna try to get a 2-for-1 deal if we can.
I'm so happy for you. Are you of the mindset, like so many of us, first one available, put it in my arm?
Yeah, I think for the most part. I mean, for the last however many weeks, I've been on CVS, Kroger, the regular website, Walgreens have been searching around for me, and I think I made them a little bit frustrated because I wanted to get it locally versus driving someplace, just because of what I went through with Guillain-Barré. If I do have a reaction, I want to be really close to UVA Hospital. I want them to be caring for me, nobody else. But the good news is they really feel like, it should be fine, and that they've given me the go ahead to get it. And I don't think it's going to change a whole lot of things, especially not until at least the second one. But if we can get everybody vaccinated and, still wear masks, I think I'll be able to spend a little bit more time with my grandkids and maybe even get them in my lap at some point. So that would be great.
I'm so happy for you. How do you feel from like an emotional standpoint with the vaccination coming this afternoon? I mean, it's been a long road. Michael, all of us want to be in, I don't want to say all of us, most of us want to be in your shoes here.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be lying to say that I don't have a little bit of nervousness about having it done, because Guillain-Barré is a reaction to a virus, and but this is a artificial or whatever, so it's not like the flu shot. And but I know that over these next couple of days, and what I understand, the second one is the one that oftentimes will cause people to feel bad. But I know over the next couple of days, and then when I get the second one, if I have the same reaction that some people have had, I'm going to be feeling all my fingers and toes and making sure everything's cool until I feel better. So I'd be lying to say I'm not nervous about it, but I feel good and I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. How about Dottie? How does she feel with her man getting that vaccine?
She's very excited. She's very excited about me getting it, and like I said, it'd be great if she's able to get hers at the same time. So that's what we're hoping.
My friend Michael Guthrie, guys, live on the show here. Open-ended question. I mean, you guys are in every media platform out there with this merger. The show is yours, Michael Guthrie.
Well, I mean, obviously it was fun to be on your show Tuesday and talking about H3 baseball and what they were doing with the Burley field and the Burley Varsity Club partnership and Abundant Life. I see Jerry and Nathan in the background there. What they're both doing is phenomenal. And I knew what the next day was bringing. I knew Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock that we were going to make this announcement. And, what I've been saying, Jerry, is that it's the right time to do this. And it's with absolutely the right company. Howard Hanna is a family-owned company. It's not a private equity group like a number of them are that have been bought out and that kind of thing. That the guy who founded it in 1957 is 101 years old. He's still alive. His kids are in it. Their kids are in it. Nieces and nephews. I mean, everybody that you meet is either Hanna or Cestra, Cestra, and it's just family owned. And this actually was in the mix starting about this time last year, right about when COVID hit, was when we first began to have conversations. I've known Hobie Hanna, who's the president, for years through the leading real estate companies of the world. He and I have served on panels together at the national conferences and things. And then I got to know Dennis Sestra, who is the Southeast vice president who lives in Virginia Beach, but involved with Virginia and North Carolina. I've gone down and taught his managers. He's been up here. And it just started as a relationship. And how can we partner together? And now that you're in Virginia Beach, we'd love to. And they saw what we were doing, and I saw what they were doing. And what I say is, one, right time, absolutely right company. And the second thing I say is they are just like us. They're just a whole lot bigger. And so nothing changes. The agents can continue to do business the way they're doing it. But as they begin to understand the power of the things that Howard Hanna has to provide, not only to buyers and sellers, but to them as agents, it's just going to be extraordinary.
Howard Hanna does a tremendous amount of business, guys. I mean, this is a big family-owned business. Roy Wheeler is the most tenured firm in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. So a merger between Howard Hanna and Roy Wheeler is a really big deal. Give us the flip book. You said this has been in the works for about a year. Maybe the why, how it came about. I mean, Michael, let's cut to the chase. You know a heck of a lot of people here. I mean, you've been in the game for a while. You know a lot of people here. How do we get to this? How and why?
So the why is pretty easy. The owners, Frank Quayle, David Callahan, me, Ann Adams, none of us are getting younger. And quite honestly, I'm the youngest of the group. and I'm still here, and I'm still involved. This isn't we're selling the company and leaving. All of us are still not owners, but in the mix. And I'm absolutely the CEO and the broker of the company. And but the real why was because um, we need to provide the best tools and the best programs for our agents to compete in the marketplace, for our agents to differentiate themselves with the buyers and sellers. And quite honestly, in the size of our company, there were some things we just couldn't provide. And the agents, rightfully so, were saying, when are we going to get this? And when are we going to get that? And we were doing a lot of really good things, as you know, and we got 98.7% satisfaction rate, and people rate us excellent or very good, would recommend us to our friends. And that's not going to change. But there were things, there were programs, there was back office technology and things that, just as you know, as well as anybody, how much it cost to implement some of those things. And here's the thing. Howard Hanna not only has those things, but they own those things. They're big enough that when they find a program, so a company that we might want to do business with and subscribe to and provide to the agents for X amount per month, right, or X amount per year, they find those and then they invest in them themselves so that they have a seat at the table and are able to, to give people, the information they need to provide the right kind of tools. And so the why is pretty easy. And I'll also answer it this way. And I said this to my agents on Wednesday. We've had a lot of people that have reached out to us over the years and said, "Are you interested in doing something?" Franchises, companies, that kind of thing. And not one of them could I say yes to. And the reason is this. At the end of the day, and Jerry, you know me pretty well, I had to be able to stand up in front of my people, even if over Zoom, unfortunately, and say, this is the best thing that we could have done for you. We have done this not to sell, but because this is the best thing for you. And if I couldn't do that, then I don't want to have any part of it. And that's been the case in the past. And that's why I say right time with the absolute right company, because I literally could stand up and say, this is a great thing. This is the tools that they have to provide for you, supporting you as an agent, but also the tools that you're going to have to go and talk to a buyer about being able to do this for them to help them buy a house, or a seller to be able to do this for them to help them sell a house that we never could have done, is going to be extraordinary.
How did your colleagues and the agents respond to the news?
Everybody's sort of in a little bit of a dither right now, to be perfectly honest. I mean, nobody knew until Wednesday morning at 10, which is a miracle, Jerry, as you know, in this marketplace.
Right.
And when agents say to me, "Why didn't you tell us before?" There are two things. First of all, for those of you watching, my kids didn't even know until 8 o'clock Tuesday night, because I had signed a non-disclosure, but also because I just did not want it to get out until everybody heard it together. The second thing is that if I had told a few people, this is what we're doing, March 3rd, blah, 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 and they didn't tell anybody because I trusted them, let's forget about if they told people, but let's just say they didn't. Well, then when everybody else finds out that I told 2 or 3 people, they're saying, why didn't I get told? And so I have learned the lesson the hard way over the years. I'd rather have everybody upset with me or frustrated with me than to have everybody but 2 or 3 people frustrated with me or upset with me. And so we needed to make the announcement as at one time in that situation, and then I've been explaining to people why it needed to be done that way. But just an example of the breadth of the company, as I'm announcing that we're doing this, signs were being taken out of yards and new signs were being put in.
Wow.
Agents were being given bags that had business cards and water bottles with the logo, and transition handbooks as to all the things that they now have at their disposal. And we didn't have to do any of that. Howard Hanna did, that would have been like me working overtime 24/7 in the back, filling bags and getting, we couldn't have done it. Howard Hanna had all that in place. So when we announced it, on Wednesday, all of those things were in place, and agents could come in and get their information, and signs were here, and sign riders with their names on them, and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool to watch all that happen.
That's impressive. How does it impact Charlottesville and Central Virginia, this merger?
Well, I mean, what we hope is going to impact is that we're going to have an opportunity to work with more buyers and sellers because of programs that we're going to announce that nobody else has in the marketplace, and that are programs that buyers and sellers will want to take advantage of. Again, going back to right time, absolutely right company. Howard Hanna is a company known for community service. Howard Hanna is known to give back to the community. Jerry, that's what we're all about. We're about serving and caring for people, and we believe the business will come our way when we do that. And Howard Hanna is just going to give us the opportunity to do that even more, and they have the same commitment. In fact, one of the things in the announcement, Hadi Hanna talked about being on the board at the Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, and he knows all the people at the Children's Hospital in Virginia at UVA, and knows that it's an incredible place. Well, a lot of people don't know that Frank and Peggy Quayle have been involved with Children's Hospital for years, and so Hadi had known of them because of their commitment to the hospital, and that's just another small world, really cool connection that makes this partnership so special.
I'm excited for the potential. I'm curious if is it bittersweet at all for anyone on the team? Because you guys have worked so hard with Roy Wheeler. It's the most tenured brand in real estate. Can you walk us through those emotions?
Well, sure, it's bittersweet. I think we all had to come to terms with it, especially Frank and David. They bought it back in 1976, but Frank, shared that he feels like we're handing it off to people that are going to care for it the same way they have, and that's not going to change. The name's not going away. We just added to the name. You got Howard Hanna, Roy Wheeler Realty Company. Roy Wheeler Realty Company is still in the name since 1927. We've been here since 1927, and one of the reasons we did this is we want to be here in 2027. We want to be here in 2077, because we've been around for 94 years because we've always adapted to the market. We've always done what we needed to do to be a leader. I talk about trust, tradition, market leadership. We needed to do that to continue that. And so how does it impact Central Virginia in the ways that I've already talked about? But also it means that we're going to continue to provide the same kind of service, and we really think that it's going to give us an opportunity to be involved in more opportunities, given what Howard Hanna has in regards to their structure and their ability to. As an example, with relocation, people who are thinking about moving and they're moving from one company to another company, Howard Hanna has a relocation department that does third-party type transactions where they can help be an equity owner in the property so they can get their cash out of the house and then use that cash to buy a house in the next town. That's not something we could do. Now we'll be able to do that. And that's just one example. And there's going to be, you're going to see over these next 6 weeks or so, there are going to be these announcements of different things that we're going to be providing to buyers and sellers that we haven't had to do before, and quite honestly, there's nobody in the marketplace that's doing it now.
The big positive news is the merger between Roy Wheeler and Howard Hanna here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Michael Guthrie, our guest. Michael, how long have you been in real estate?
It'll be 40 years in 2022. I got in the business in 1982.
So 40 years. How do you characterize the market right now? Is it like any other market you've seen in 40 years?
No. And the reason is we've seen huge seller markets before. We've never seen the historic low interest rates like we were seeing before. But the way I'd really answer that question, Jerry, and I was talking to a broker from another company who called to congratulate me this morning, and he was asking me some of the same questions you're asking me. And he said, the way that businesses run is so different than 10 years ago. And I said, no. The way businesses run is so different than a year ago. And what I mean by that is COVID has changed everything. And it's another interesting enough, it's another reason why we did this, because we had to pivot, which we did. We did it even before. We were already hybrid training and doing Zoom and recording and putting it on YouTube. So if agents couldn't be in the training, they could watch it later and that kind of thing. How did we know that COVID was going to come where we're going to have to do that all the time? And now we're doing it better than ever. But also, we learned that more and more agents, I think this is true about a lot of companies, have realized that their people don't need to come in the office anymore. Banks, I mean, you across the board, you don't need to have people in the office. And so another why is that Howard Hanna has this incredible back office transaction, marketing, all these things that people can do from their own office at home. They don't have to come in and get somebody to print something for them or do this or do that. And I honestly think, and I said this to the broker, I honestly think that even when COVID's over, we're never going to have the amount of people in the office that we had a year ago. Never. Because people have adapted and are doing things differently, and they don't need to come in. There's certainly people that will still come in, and it'll be wonderful to be able to be in the same room together and train together and bounce on things off of each other and everything. But those are going to be the exceptions of people being in the office versus the rule. So that's another thing that I think this move for us, and I think all of us, every company, whether it's real estate or not, if you're not adapting and figuring out that people don't need to come in, then you're going to be in not a good place in just a little while.
Multiple folks are asking, Michael, if your crystal ball sees the market changing anytime soon from a seller's market to a buyer's market. My particular age group and younger is really feeling this. Folks trying to get into the game as a first-time home buyer often are having to put multiple offers on multiple homes and are getting stung because they're losing to all cash. They're losing to someone potentially from outside the market. You know this better than anyone. So I guess the question, and maybe it's a question that a lot of folks are wondering, is does the market change anytime soon where the scales of justice even a little more for the buyer?
So that's a great question, and you're absolutely right. The multiple contracts are just off the chart. And this is another thing that's historic, in my opinion, Jerry. It's not just about homes. It's about land. 2 years ago, you couldn't give away some land in the area, right? It just, the prices just weren't what people were willing to accept. And now we're having multiple offers on land even for people that just want a place to get away to kind of thing. But in answer to your question, at some point, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we've needed to. We absolutely need to do what we need to do to help people, whether it be landlords, whether it be tenants, whether it be stimulus checks, whether it be small business, restaurants, you name it. We need to help people. And I'm so grateful to see people, just the generosity that people have that are doing those kind of things. But with the government printing the money that they're printing, and things begin to turn around, who's paying for all these vaccinations, as an example? Yeah, forget the stimulus check, but who's paying for all this, to get the shot in your arm kind of thing? At some point, inflation's got to come into play. And it all depends on who you talk to. And I'm not an economist, so I'm not even going to go there, but I know that at some point it will. And at that point, you're going to see, interest rates, start, ticking up. And when those interest rates start ticking up, then the demand will begin to diminish for the homes. And when the demand starts diminishing for the homes, then you start getting more of a balanced market, because you don't have things just going to the market and immediately selling. And so demand, and so that's when, and that's why people need to be really careful when they're buying, that they buy at a price that they're willing to be comfortable with for a few years, because real estate's cyclical. And Jerry, you've heard me say this because I appreciate you following my radio show and everything. And we've talked about on this show that my advice to the first-time buyers, or even the second-time buyers, is buy a house where your mortgage all in, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, homeowners fees if you have them, equals the rent that you could get for that property. And you did it with your villas at South Reed. We talk about that all the time. If you can get that mortgage equal to the rent, one, if you're in a tough spot and the market doesn't let you sell, you can rent it for a couple of years and ride it out. Or two, like you did, good for you, you hung on to that and put it into your portfolio, your financial portfolio. So I always tell people, don't get your eyes too big initially. buy a house that you're going to be happy with, buy a condo, townhouse, just get into something, because now you're in control. If inflation starts happening and people start pushing up rents and things like that, you're in control because you've got a 30-year mortgage and nothing's changing other than maybe the tax part of it, but dollars, right? So you're in control. Nobody can, you're not going to be stuck in that, getting priced out of a rental and then trying to find something else or whatever the case may be. But secondly, you now are building equity. And if you can, match it with the mortgage and the rent, now you're in a situation where you can hang on to it and keep it. Or again, like you said, if the market changes, which I don't think it's going to happen this year, but as we get into 2022 and things get into play in regards to the new administration and things like that. I mean, people are talking about capital gains going up or taking away the 1031 tax deferred exchange or things like that. That's going to change the game. And if you're already in, you can hunker down and stay fixed in your place until that game changes again until it becomes a positive situation.
You are an A++ broadcaster. This guy is an award-winning broadcaster, to be in fact. Real Estate Matters, WINA, 1070 WINA on Saturday mornings. Michael, the show is yours. Anything you want to go? Maybe not even talk real estate. How about just talking about the weather's changing, vaccinations are getting out there, cases are getting down, people are still doing it safely, but we're starting to see some hope and some positivity, Michael.
Yeah, I think that's true. Obviously, two things. Let's not give up on the winter, because I've got kids who were born in March. And my daughter, Katie, was born on the 13th of March, and I can think of 2 or 3 birthday parties that were snowed out. And they were snowed out because it was big storms, not little ones, right? So let's not, get there. And then I would segue that to COVID. We're in the last part of the winter. We may have a couple, 3 more weeks, and then we're going to start seeing the spring and that kind of thing. Well, the same thing with COVID. We're in the fourth quarter of this thing, and I am disappointed to see people taking their foot off the gas a little bit because vaccinations, because things are down. I don't know a lot, but I know enough that if doctors are telling me that we still got a ways to go, then I'm going to believe them. I'm not going to believe anybody on the news. I'm not going to believe any politicians. I'm going to believe, the doctors that whether it's, Fauci or Bell or whoever it is, I'm going to believe the doctors that say this is crazy that you're going to open up your restaurants to 100% again. And I'm not talking about here in our state, but whatever. We can talk about is our governor being too conservative by, you posted the other day, and I think rightfully so, about the graduation. Conservative, maybe it is. But I'm not going to question people who know a lot more than me. But I am going to say that we still got a ways to go, and the vaccinations are happening, and but there's still a lot of people that haven't been vaccinated yet, and the vaccination doesn't mean that you can't still spread it. It may mean that you don't get sick. I mean, that's the crazy thing about COVID.
Right, I know.
Is that it's asymptomatic.
Yeah.
You can be carrying that and not knowing it. And because if you had a cold, Jerry, I mean, think about it. I know it's hard to do. Think about a year ago, 16 months ago. If you had a cold, you and we'd walk in a room and say, "Hey, brother, how you doing? Don't touch me. I've got a cold," right? Because I know I have a cold. I'm sniffling, whatever. COVID, I don't know I got a cold. And so people are saying, "I feel fine." And then in this whole aspect of bubbling, I get the bubble if it's a true bubble, but when I hear people that are saying they bubble such and such, but where have they been? Who did they interact with someplace else that I don't know about? Those and they have it and they don't know they have it. That's what I want people to still be really, really careful about. And I have a blog, thankfulinallthings.com, that I started after my journey with Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I wrote this a while ago, several months ago now, but it was when everybody was, not wanting to go in the grocery store with a mask on. And I thought, this is crazy. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Why does no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service impact your rights, whereas no shirt, no shoes didn't? It's still health, right? And what I wrote about is I get the fact you don't want to wear a mask. Don't don't wear the mask for you. Wear it for everybody else. Wear it for the person next to you that's uncomfortable because you don't have one on. It's the right thing to do. It's the neighborly thing to do. You end your show every time with the golden rule. Do unto others as you know. These people want you to wear a mask. So just wear them. Get some funny ones and just enjoy it for a little bit longer.
Michael Guthrie, thank you. You're A+.
Yeah.
Catch his show, Real Estate Matters, on 1070 WINA. Follow his blog. Friend him on Facebook. I think the perspective he shares across all those mediums is refreshing and positive. Michael, thank you.
Yeah.
We will follow up with you again. Best of luck with the vaccination. I hope Dottie gets one too.
Yeah, if you listen tomorrow morning to WINA, 10 o'clock, you get a chance to hear it from Hobie Hanna, because I've got Hobie on the show.
Really?
So yeah, so you'll hear it from their side as well as my side.
I will tune in at 10 a.m.
Great.
Thank you,
Great.
Michael.
All right.
All right.
Bless
Michael,
you guys. Take care.
Same to you, Michael Guthrie. Michael
Bye-bye.
Guthrie, guys. A+ people. Give Michael Guthrie some love right there. Wanted to get the news out about the merger with Roy Wheeler and Howard Hanna. If you listen to his show tomorrow on 1070 WINA, you'll hear from kin with the Hanna family about this merger. This is a pretty big deal, guys. You're talking the most tenured brand from a real estate standpoint in Central Virginia, and that's Roy Wheeler. It's undoubtedly the most tenured and legacy of real estate brands in this community. This is a big deal. A lot of folks, agents on that roster, will see how this impacts the market moving forward, and I'm grateful for Michael Guthrie's time. I got a TV commercial shoot today at 1:30 at Dr. Scott Wagner's office at his practice. Scott Wagner, Integrated Medicine. So we're going to wrap up here in about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to give you a couple of things for your agenda for this weekend that I think would be something that you would enjoy. I'm going to give you a couple of options of fun stuff to do that's safe and socially distanced. The first one that comes immediately to mind is the interview we did yesterday with Alexis Strouser and her husband Patrick. There's a brand by the name of Be Conscious Baking Company that's at the farmers markets all over here, and they also have a point of sale inside Dairy Market on Preston Avenue. Guys, my wife and I and my little boy, who's 3, we've been absolutely blown away by how delicious Be Conscious Baking Company and this like pastry box they left us. They also left us farm fresh eggs. The food, the pastries and the desserts and the goodies and the treats from Be Conscious Baking Company are off the charts good. Okay? I encourage you to try this brand. And if you don't want to go to Dairy Market, they're at the farmers market. You can go there Saturday at Ix Park. Okay? It is really, really, really good. Shockingly good. To the point where last night my wife was biting into them and saying, this is some of the best stuff I've had in a really long time in my life. And she does not exaggerate. She's far from an exaggerate. So do try it and let us know what you think. Couple items out of the notebook before we leave. Brian Pinkston, who's running for city council, will be in studio on Monday. I will ask Brian Pinkston about his platform, his campaign, his candidacy, how things are going. We know it's now more competitive with Brian Pinkston, Juan Diego Wade, Yaz Washington, and Carl Brown running for 2 spots on the Democratic ticket. Two Democrats will come out to the general election where they will face Nikiah Walker. Nikiah Walker's running as an independent. And then we'll see on the 3rd of November who's going to be elected to council. So Pinkston's in studio on Monday. I'll ask Brian Pinkston if he's willing to join us for that live debate we'll host on the I Love Seaville network that's moderated by Kathy Galvin. So former city councilor Kathy Galvin will moderate a live debate on this network with all the Democratic candidates. Yaz has committed, Carl Brown has committed, and Juan Diego Wade has committed to the live debate. So on Monday, we'll see if Brian Pinkston will commit to the live debate right here in this studio with Kathy Galvin serving as the moderator and asking serious questions. I mean, serious questions. Another few items out of the notebook. And did you get the apple caramel galette on screen? You did? Put it back on screen so I encourage everyone to look. Thank you, Sir Judah. This apple caramel galette that's on screen now, this is one of the best things I personally have had from a dessert standpoint, maybe ever. apple caramel galette from Be Conscious Baking Company. She dropped off 2. They were out of this world. Out of this world. One more item that I think is important to get out. Chicano Boy Taco, a brand that downtown Stanton knows very well. Chicano Boy Taco. And if you have not had a chance to go to downtown Stanton for some food, some people watching, some cocktails and cold beverages, and just walking around downtown, that's a great activity to do during COVID. That is a great activity to do right now if you're looking for something different to do outside with your family. Explore downtown Stanton. Charming, intimate, great little downtown. Chicano Boy Taco, one of the most noticeable and recognizable brands in downtown Stanton, is now expanding to Midlothian. In Midlothian. So second location for that brand and that family-owned business. We'll follow that closely. Chicano Boy Taco in Stanton is really, really good. It's really, really good. All right, Andre Xavier has a comment. Andre Xavier says, Michael Guthrie is an amazing person and businessman. Let him know to call me when he and Dottie get the vaccine so we can plan an amazing trip to celebrate his success. Andre Xavier, I like it. I like it. I hope Dottie gets the vaccine, too. Dottie's A-plus people. Vanessa Parkhill, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us today. Cara from Ting, she says, I'm so happy to watch the show today and see Michael Guthrie. I will be thinking of you this afternoon, friend. Same. Well said. Michael Guthrie, we're all thinking about you as you get your vaccination, your first one today. We are all happy that you were able to get it this afternoon. Sincerely mean that. All right, that's the show. Thank you for joining us on a Friday. Brian Pinkston tomorrow. Guys, why don't we echo what Michael Guthrie said? We're in the bottom of the 8th inning with the pandemic. No doubt so many of us have COVID fatigue right now. And no doubt so many of us want the life we had, say, February and January of 2020. Now 13 months ago. Crazy. We're about 13 months into this thing here in Charlottesville. But I guess let's not let the fatigue of being in the bottom of the 8th or the bottom of the 9th inning, let's not allow that fatigue to turn this into an extra innings ball game. Let's see if we can finish the pandemic in 9. And for us to finish this pandemic in 9 frames, 9 innings, and not go into extra frames, we're going to have to put that mask on and buckle down for here until most of these vaccines get out at a much quicker clip. And I think we can do that. I pray we can do that. We need to do that. We need to do that. All right, that's the show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you for joining us on a Friday. You guys have a good weekend. Take care.